Dr. Aranda, in a brief interview, recounts a horrific incident from a year ago during a supermoon when over 1 billion people mutated into grotesque forms under its light. He warns that this will happen again with an upcoming supermoon and aims to prepare residents for the dangers. Molecular biologist and former soldier Wesley Marshall has a sister-in-law, Lucy, and her daughter, Emma, who are on the front lines. Lucy lost her husband in the previous disaster, and Wesley fortifies their home with traps, an electric fence, and a monitoring system. Other neighbors are also preparing for the night. Lucy gives Emma candy, and they stock up on supplies. Wesley confronts neighbor Cody about his reckless target shooting, but Cody dismisses his concerns as practice for the chaos to come. Wesley instructs Lucy to keep the house secured and protect herself from intruders before he leaves. He reassures Emma that he will keep them safe. At a press conference, Dr. James introduces his team, including Wesley, who will combat the impending threat. He reveals a serum called Monskren, designed to block the supermoon's effects using human DNA, emphasizing the importance of that night for a potential cure. Inside the research facility, scientists prepare volunteers to test the serum by exposing them to moonlight. Miles, the husband of scientist Amy, is among the test subjects in a large cage. As the sun sets, the countdown to the supermoon begins. Wesley and his team don protective suits and head to the testing area, where a woman panics and wants to leave, but it's too late as the roof opens to reveal the massive moon. The atmosphere is tense, but none of the volunteers mutate, indicating the serum may be effective, which excites the scientists. Meanwhile, Lucy and her daughter notice a quick shadow outside, causing concern as the lights in their homes flicker. Lucy checks the monitors but sees nothing unusual. Inside her house, Reagan calls for her mother, but when there's no response, she panics and is suddenly confronted by a monstrous figure. In the testing area, Dr. James enters and learns from Wesley that the serum is preventing mutations, which seem to be a dormant defense response activated by the supermoon. When James questions why this is happening now, Wesley has no answers. Suddenly, Miles begins to mutate, and as James orders the serum to be sprayed on him, Miles, already transforming, swats away the device, leading to chaos in the facility. The other volunteers begin to transform as the facility's systems fail. Despite Amy's urgent pleas to close the roof, an electrical malfunction prevents it. Amid the chaos, Wesley sees that Miles is also mutating. He attempts to tranquilize him, but it fails, and Miles quickly completes his transformation, attacking a scientist and fleeing. In the ensuing panic, Wesley carries his injured colleague to safety while another scientist shoots wildly, accidentally releasing a caged monster. The unleashed werewolves attack and kill several scientists, including the one with the gun. Military personnel escort some scientists outside as Amy tries to escape. She encounters Wesley and the injured colleague, and when they hear a roar from the corridor, they quickly change direction to find refuge in another room. The monster spots them and charges, but they manage to lock the door just in time. Lucy becomes frightened as she sees the creatures moving on the cameras. Cody, on high alert, shoots at one of the monsters in a tree. Meanwhile, Wesley's injured colleague dies from his wounds. Although Amy wants to wait for help, Wesley argues that staying put is fatal. Amy points out that leaving means facing the moonlight and risking transformation, but Wesley believes they can use the serum formula to protect themselves. Suddenly, a freezer crashes through the window, knocking Cody aside and exposing him to moonlight, causing his transformation. Wesley and Amy navigate the facility, avoiding the creatures until they reach a room where they prepare for the next steps. Knowing the serum lasts about an hour, Wesley sets a timer and instructs that if one transforms, the other must escape alone. As they leave, they encounter the transformed Miles. Amy prevents Wesley from shooting, instead shooting a gas container to stun him. They manage to escape in a car, with Wesley determined to reach Lucy's house. On the way, Wesley calls Lucy to check on her. She explains the situation, mentioning that a werewolf invaded Cody's house. Suddenly, she hears Reagan outside, screaming for help and covered with a tarp, but she hasn't transformed. Despite knowing the risks, Lucy wants to help her. Wesley frantically reminds her not to open the door. Desperate, Lucy tries to reassure Reagan through the camera's sound system, but it's too late. A creature leaps out and drags Reagan away. Meanwhile, a bus blocks Wesley and Amy's car, leading to an unavoidable collision. After losing contact with Wesley, Lucy watches in horror as the werewolf attacks her friend, breaking down in tears. The creature roars, deepening Lucy and her daughter's fear. Wesley and Amy survive the crash, but must escape the car quickly as it starts to catch fire and is about to explode. Wesley and Amy escape with quite a struggle. Meanwhile, the werewolf, who is Cody, as you know if you were paying attention, picks up Reagan's body and crashes it against Lucy's electric fence in an effort to deactivate it. After telling Emma to be safe, Lucy sees Kodeita by the fence and sprays pepper spray into his face, making him roar in pain. Melissa's crazy. Now on foot, Wesley and Amy must avoid the monsters in horrific fashion. They soon spy a pack of werewolves trashing a car, so they opt to creep past. They crouch behind cars on the street, edging their way forward until one of the creatures detects them. Having little choice, Wesley takes Amy under a car, hoping their scent will mix with the surrounding air. The werewolf stalks, breaking car windows, looking for something. What is worse, it crouches down beside them and sniffs the air. Cody the werewolf leaves without noticing Wesley and Amy hiding under the car. Cody soothes his burning eyes by splashing water on his face, and later lets out an agonizing howl that terrifies Lucy. Thinking that he has finally gone, Wesley and Amy wait in their hiding spot, then emerge only to learn that the monsters are still there, their timer beeping to prove that the serum's effects aren't permanent. They run as the werewolves chase them, barreling toward a closing supermarket gate. A boy who shut the gate beckons them inside, but they are soon accosted by masked figures who hold Amy down with a knife. They try to tell him that they're scientists working on finding a cure, but one masked man insists that there isn't a cure and asks why they shouldn't just be fed to the monsters outside. Wesley says all he wants is to get to his family and needs to go through the store's tunnels. The man agrees reluctantly to lead them toward the entrance, but warns that once they do, they will be on their own. In the view from the cameras, Lucy watches a swarm of creatures fill the street, and she realizes they appear to be coordinating. Wesley and Amy inch through the tunnel until they converge with a locked gate, and Wesley is about to shoot it open. Wesley is unable to shoot the locked gate, so instead, something jumps behind them, and they must fight for their lives. The monster lunges, knocking them to the ground. Amy collapses from the impact, and Wesley attempts to rise but is knocked down again. As the creature lunges at him, he grabs an iron bar and stabs it, slaying it in short order. Then Amy wakes up and gives Wesley a hand, and they proceed. They reach street access but stop short to avoid the light of the supermoon, covering themselves in tarps. When they wander into a nearby store, they accidentally activate an alarm but quickly silence it, aware that it would draw in the beasts. 5. They have serum doses to cool down in the freezer. That's why they went inside the store. They are desolate, abandoned creatures. Except at Lucy's house, where they are protected somewhat by a working electric fence, the creatures cannot cross the wire. But the creatures start battering the cameras, which puts Lucy almost in the dark. As the serum cools, Wesley admits to Amy that his missions have always taken priority over family for him. So he feels that it is his responsibility to protect his family after his brother died, but fears he isn't doing it very well. Amy tells him that he is doing excellent. At that moment, the serum reaches the right temperature. While Amy searches for something to keep it cold, Wesley hears a noise and investigates. He finds a young woman with her back to him, seemingly eating something. When he asks her to turn around, he sees she is semi-transformed and eating a cat. Wesley, reluctant to shoot, warns her not to come closer, but she advances anyway. Just then, Amy arrives and uses a taser to incapacitate the woman. Outside Lucy's house, the werewolves, now following Cody's orders, violently attack the electric fence, causing the lights in the house to flicker. Lucy grabs her shotgun, bracing for the worst as she watches through the remaining cameras. She sees one monster attempting to push a heavy object onto the fence, resulting in a blackout. With the electric fence down, the barricaded doors are their last defense. While some traps catch a few monsters, others bang on the doors and windows trying to get in. Lucy and Emma set up emergency lights in the living room and prepare for the attack. Lucy notices one monster caught in a trap set by Wesley, giving them more time. After taking another dose of serum, Wesley and Amy make their way toward Lucy's house. They encounter a group of well-armed people fighting a pack of werewolves under the supermoon, which Wesley sees as a chance to reach his sister-in-law and niece faster. The armed group temporarily drives off the werewolves when Wesley and Amy reveal themselves, pleading not to be shot. Despite their assurances that the serum protects them from the supermoon, the men do not listen. Suddenly, a werewolf attacks one of the armed men, prompting a shootout that forces Wesley and Amy to find cover from both the crossfire and the creatures. As more werewolves converge on their location and the armed group is overwhelmed, Amy suggests using herself as bait, convincing Wesley that he needs to get to Lucy. She successfully distracts a werewolf, which approaches and sniffs her before giving a light nibble. Amy stands her ground and screams in dominance, eliciting a terrifying roar from the creature. At that moment, Wesley spots her from atop a car and uses an anti-aircraft machine gun to drive the creatures away. He calls for Amy to run and get in the car, but just as she reaches him, a monstrous hand grabs her and pulls her away. Wesley tries to see her, but loses sight of both her and the monster. With no options left, he drives off to reach Lucy. Meanwhile, Lucy has been firing at the ceiling, killing some monsters that got inside, but she's running low on ammunition and is in a precarious situation with her daughter. As more monsters break through the barricades, she arms herself with knives and pepper spray, looking for a hiding place. Just when it seems they'll be found, a loud horn sounds outside. It's Wesley, trying to draw the creature's attention. The monsters gather in the street as Wesley accelerates to run them over. Cody, the last werewolf, jumps onto Wesley's vehicle, causing him to crash into a house. After thinking they're safe, Lucy and her daughter are startled when a creature breaks through the wall to attack them. They run to another room, where Lucy hides Emma in a wardrobe and waits for the monster. When it enters, it targets Emma, who sprays it, but Lucy's attempt to attack fails as she is thrown aside. Emma stabs the beast, but it doesn't work. Just as she's about to be attacked, Lucy grabs an axe and strikes the creature. Wesley approaches the house, calling for Lucy and Emma, and is relieved to find them unharmed. They prepare for another attack, knowing Cody is still alive and about to escape the wrecked car. With no bullets left, Wesley has a desperate idea. He bids farewell to Emma, urging her to be strong, and gives Lucy a watch set for 15 minutes until dawn. He then goes outside and transforms into a werewolf to fight Cody. They engage in a brutal fight, but Wesley quickly gains the upper hand and defeats him. Realizing Wesley is now a monster, Lucy hides Emma in a safer spot. Hearing Wesley's heavy steps, Lucy finds one last shotgun shell and loads her weapon. Before he enters, she pleads for him to remember her and not harm them. As he approaches, she grabs a family photo, trying to reach his humanity. The creature hesitates, then lets out a loud roar, causing Lucy to stumble. Just then, her watch beeps, signaling sunrise. In a final act of desperation, she shoots the window to let in sunlight. The sun shines brightly, and Wesley returns to normal before he can harm his family. And with that, the movie ends. We hope you enjoyed our recap. Like the video and subscribe to our channel for more amazing recaps. See you in the next one.